Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you, and a belated thank you to Carl Falk and Kevin Klubsch, who sat in the last several weeks prior to the one before. Did a fairly adequate job, is the way I understand it. Guys, nice to see you. Tariq, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty well. Just good. Happy to be back here on the show. Thanks for having me.
And I won't forget this week. Pat, what are you wearing? What do you got on?
Well, I wore it over again. It's the brand new Sabres game jersey. Dylan Cousins, the workhorse from Whitehorse, baby. Rookie, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid. He's playing great. I love the kid. So let's see how the Sabres ruin this one moving forward.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit later, actually. Sabres a hot topic. Tariq, first of all, though, a couple items passed through this past week. Julian Edelman retires from the New England Patriots, and Steph Curry passes Walt Chamberlain in the Warriors' all-time scoring list. Immediately, the conversation shifts from not from how great the current players are, but how they stack up against the past. These arguments, man, drive me crazy. How about you?
You know what? It's so interesting because they're calling Steph Curry an outlier, a player that's they don't understand his success. I mean, he's probably one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. But Julian Edelman is interesting to me because there was some debate earlier this week as to whether or not he is a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he does go under a category of people we love to root for. We love to root for guys who come into a league. They're not meant to play the position they got drafted for. They move around. They go to defense. They go to offense. They do what's best for the team. And the next thing you know, they become a key portion of a championship team or have a great successful run as a career. Steve Tasker was one of those individuals who came in and could do anything and play anywhere. So we love those sort of outliers, work hard work pays off kind of guys. That's what Edelman is. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's the type of guy that people love to watch and get better. Steph Curry, same sort of thing. Not the tallest guy, not the fastest guy, but he makes you believe that you can go to the gym or go to the Y and shoot the lights out. That's the type of stuff that people love to see, and that's why we love to watch him.
How dare you?
I knew that was coming.
Julian Edelman's name in the same sentence as Steve Tasker. How dare you, Tariq? I'm sorry, Bill, do what you're going to do. I said,
Wait, which one of those guys has got a Super Bowl ring?
Was it? Are you serious right now? Which one of those is the greatest in his position of all time? Look at that. Look at you. Go wear a tie. I can see so much chest hair. Bill, do the show. I can't take this.
I thought the mere fact that he played with the Patriots was going to be enough to set you off. But, Pat, I got a pet theory here that these awards and these comparisons, it's all for our own self-gratification. It's like we bestow whether or not you were greater than Wilt Chamberlain or that Julian Edelman belongs in the Hall of Fame, when we don't care so much about the argument is that we care about putting ourselves in a position of judgment on people who have done things that we'll never do.
100%. I think it goes twofold. But I mean, look, isn't watching sports exactly what you just described, right? Like I watch sports to judge the guys and gals that are playing that I'm watching on TV, right? I want to root for the guy. I mean, Tariq did bring up Julian Edelman in his background, and he wasn't supposed to come from anywhere, much like Steve Tasker. But yeah, I want to cheer for that guy that reminds me of me, and I want to push that guy forward. But going even further on your point, Bill, the reason we have these arguments is to justify that the sports that we watched when we were coming of age that we love the most were the best sports, right? You're going to have NBA fans from the 60s and 70s saying, of course, Steph Curry isn't even close to Wilt Chamberlain because I watched basketball when it was good, right? And you're going to have guys and gals from their late 80s into the early 2000s saying, of course, Julian Edelman isn't a Hall of Fame wide receiver. I saw Hall of Fame wide receivers. I saw Marvin Harrison and Jerry Rice and Andre Reed and all these guys, right? Like the reason these arguments get so heated, it's not so much about the players themselves. It's about the teams that I loved at the times I loved them and the era in which I was watching sports. Because let's be real, any time between 1986 and now is when the best of any sport ever was.
Well, let me just add on to that. He brings up a great point, and I want to add on to the fact that how many players who played during the Jordan era in the early 90s where there were fights every other week would say to themselves, I would never let Steph Curry get comfortable. I'd get up in his face. I'd knock him down. All of these different things that we loved about 80s basketball and 90s basketball would not exist today because they changed the rules, the way they guard. It's totally different, and Steph Curry is allowed to get the space that he needs to be the player that everybody loves to watch. So this actually benefits his game. Now, would he still be a great shooter? I still think he would be a great shooter. His dad was a great shooter. I think it's in the genes. But to Duffy's point, the era is totally different. Tougher era back in the 80s and 90s than it is today.
And you look at the NBA, when they flash back, and we have experience with these teams, the old Lakers-Celtics battles, the Bird, Magic Johnson. If you look at those videos now, back then, these were the two greatest teams and up and down the court and all this. They look like they're moving in slow motion. It doesn't look like the same game we see out there now.
And you're 100% right. I mean, look, you can say it across all sports in reality. Sports is less physical than it was. Professional sports, less physical than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. But it's better, man. Like, don't get me wrong. I love watching a good hockey fight. I like the bang and smash NHL from back in the day. Hockey's better now. Football, the NFL is better now that you can see speed and skill on display instead of a defensive end literally knocking Jeff George unconscious before he hits the ground. Basketball is better. I like watching those old, Bad Boys Pistons teams. But Bill, you're right. It feels like the game takes 5 hours because they're literally running in quicksand. And Tariq, to your point earlier, you talk about these guys from the late 80s, early 90s who say, well, Steph wouldn't get a shot off if I was the one guarding him. Who's to say that those guys would be on NBA rosters today with players being faster and jumping higher and being stronger? Like Bill Laimbeer, you can talk all you want. You might have been a carpet salesman. So maybe you should just be grateful that you got to play when you did and sit down and shut up.
They're relatable. Steph Curry's at a size where you would believe you're able to understand, whereas who's 7 foot? I mean, who's around here is 7 foot. That's not a common height that you see out here. Steph Curry, and it's funny how many people complained about back in the day, they couldn't shoot, they couldn't play, no one could hit a 10-foot jumper, no one could do this. And now guys are able to do it with ease, and people are still upset. The era is different because the times have changed, and that's why people don't. They find it a tough time comparing the two together. We will not go back to the Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar days. Those days are gone.
Yeah, and the NBA was still in sort of its infancy. Wilt Chamberlain came in as a rookie and broke the league scoring record and averaged 50 points a game one season and wasn't on a championship team that year.
Wow.
Really odd. Very different time. This is the Rochester Press Box. We're talking Buffalo Bills next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay and Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Thanks for joining us. Talking Buffalo Bills, Pat. Hey, the stadium's going to be filled this year, but there are stipulations.
Yeah, I do find it interesting. First of all, I find it interesting that the Erie County supervisor is making this declaration this early, right? Like, we're in, what are we, April right now? You still got a couple of months until, to say the stadium will be full under the, what's the word I'm looking for? Stipulation, like you said, that you have to be vaccinated to get in. It also raised a question, as we're talking about this, I'm not sure what the answer is. Under 16 right now, you can't get vaccinated in this country. So does that mean no one under the age of 16 is allowed to go to a Bills game this season? Because that would be sad. I like taking my girls to the games. But look, it's a step towards normalcy. You have an opportunity to go get the vaccine if you want. And if you do, you go to the game. It's created this big debate. But, hey, it's better than what we had a year ago. So,
this is creating kind of a double standard.
Yeah, I understand that there are people out there that are worried about the vaccine. Look at where we were 4 months ago to where we are now, and then think about 4 months from now, which would be August, and maybe we're a little better shape. We're thinking a little bit differently. They're thinking about opening up schools. This all makes kind of sense moving forward. I'm not surprised he said something now to warn it. I don't think the NFL wants to go down this road, or the Bills fans wants to go down this road where they watch their games at home. For people who don't want to get vaccinated, you're going to have to watch your games at home. This is fair enough and long enough time for you to make a decision as to whether or not you want to go to these games if you're not vaccinated. I think this is the way entertainment is going. I think you're not going to be able to go to certain places without a vaccination. So I hope people are prepared to deal with the fact that you may be taken out of the equation when it comes to bringing the economy, Western New York, and things back into play again. So for those that are not vaccinating, I understand and I respect your choice. I get it, the fear, the concern, and all the things that go around it. But you're going to see a lot of people eliminated from this factor. So to Duffy's point, I hope there is enough of, for vaccinations for kids to go if they are able to go, because that place will be packed and sold out in a moment.
Yeah, Pat, last thing, it comes at a good time, doesn't it? The Bills are right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but, it's like I said at the beginning of the season last year, right? This will be the year that the Bills win the Super Bowl when we could be there. Close. We were almost there. Yeah. And look, the bottom line is this. If money rules the world and the county controls the building, which it does, they make the rules. I mean, there's going to be enough people vaccinated to fill that stadium up 3 times over again, right? So it might be a moot point, people that are upset with the decision when it all comes to brass tacks on opening day.
Study up, boys. It's the draft show next week. That'll be fun. Like It or Not is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
All of these things show Josh Allen has a strive for greatness inside of him.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. This segment of the Press Box, Like It or Not, is brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law Firm. With years of experience defending the accused, don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. Like it or not, Tariq, the WNBA, hot topic, right, has lasted 25 years. They're entering their 25th season.
And I can't believe this. When the WNBA first came in, I started watching the Liberty because I'm a New York Knicks fan. And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, man, we've got Lobo, we've got Weatherspoon. We're going to be able to win a championship. Nope, not able to do that. It was the Comets that was able to take the first few years. And then you start looking at all the different years in success and the Lynx getting a championship and the Sparks getting a championship and the Storm and Sue Bird, maybe the GOAT of the it's just amazing to see how many years this is put together. Go back and take a look at how long the WNBA is, obviously 25 years, but look at how successful it has grown throughout the years in the sports and the college players making the transition over to the pros. It's been fun to watch. I have to say, I'm like, man, it's been 25 years that fast. I was literally, I don't want to say what school I was in. Yeah, I don't want to age myself, but yeah, it's been 25 years.
Back when it started, Pat, it wasn't that popular. I mean, it's trendy today to be in support of of women athletes. It wasn't that way 25 years ago.
Sure. And I mean, look, it was a bold move by the NBA to do what they did. I mean, look, the NBA for the last 3 decades has been on the cutting edge of what eventually becomes normal. And Bill, you say it's trendy nowadays. I think the product is good and there's a legitimate fan base behind it. Like, that league doesn't survive without a legitimate fan base. And I do want to say, you have folks that love sports that'll make fun of women's sports leagues and upstart leagues and things like that, going, well, there's the NBA and the NFL and the NHL, and if they can't compete, well, why should they be around? Forgetting the history of these leagues, right? How close the NFL came a couple of times to completely collapsing in on itself. The same with the NBA. I mean, hell, it was only Bill, 1976, 77, 78, when the NBA was airing the finals on tape delay at 2 a.m. on network television, right? Like, it's an unfair shoe hanging over these women's leagues because we are so accustomed to dominant American sports when, without boxing and horse racing 40 years ago, it wasn't that way.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, like it or not, Taylor Hall gets traded by the Sabres. Is this thing on track or pointed in any direction for Buffalo?
And the direction is forward because it's the only direction you can go. But I mean forward towards next season, not towards good. Taylor Hall insists on going to Boston. He had a no move clause. Good for him. You were stupid to give it to him. But yeah, you don't even get what you could have for Taylor Hall. I mean, look, depending on what happens with Jack Eichel in the offseason, if they trade him away, you've blown the whole thing up. You're going to do it again. If not, they're going to try and sign some free agents again and see what happens. So, I got the sweaters and the club. Where am I going? I'm here for it. I'll watch it. Whatever.
Is there a guy out there in terms of the draft that this is going to do them any good on?
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of guys up top that, I mean, they could be impact players starting next season, but the problem is they've changed the way the NFL draft lottery works. So the percentage odds that the Sabres have the first overall pick are even lower than they were when they weren't winning the first overall pick, being in last place for however many years. So pretty sweet jerseys, though. Look, they're all new, and you can see the buffalo hair embroidered into the.
But aren't Sabres fans allowed to go back to their building too?
So they've been selling tickets to certain games. And I believe one of those games only had a couple hundred people in it. It's a mess, man. The whole thing is a mess right now. But again, you can see the hair. See it?
That's really sweet.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Thanks for joining us, and welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. Pat Duffy starts us off.
We've been told our whole life how hard it is to play Division I NCAA football. Well, it turns out maybe not as hard as we thought, because a homeless man managed to make the USC football team for a couple days. And when I say make, I mean he snuck into the facility. By the way, he was sleeping in one of the luxury suites at the stadium USC plays in on campus, managed to get around a fingerprint and card scan into the locker room for USC football. He got a helmet and a jersey and a pair of cleats, went out on the practice field, and nobody realized it. In fact, he was so in deep with this program, he jacuzzied with the team, he took meals with the team, and he legitimately practiced. You want to know how they figured out he wasn't supposed to be out there? His punt return skills. He started muffing punts in a punt return line, and the coaches became suspicious, looked into his background, and realized, what are you doing here? But he was out there blending in completely for most of the time. Look, I know this guy's going to get punished, and okay, fine, he should. You broke a rule. However, whatever punishment this man faces is worth it, because for a couple hours, you got to be a member of one of the best most prestigious college football programs ever. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit jealous.
So you're telling me now that there's a possibility there's a movie being made about Bountygate in the NFL. For the folks that don't know about Bountygate, that took place with New Orleans. Sean Payton was the head coach, Greg Williams, defensive coordinator. And basically they would play players to hurt other players on other teams so they would find ways to win games. This is now going to be a Netflix movie with Kevin James, King of Queens himself, starring as Sean Payton. My question is, who is going to play the role of Greg Williams, defensive coordinator? Williams was suspended for a year and then back in the NFL after testifying to the NFL that he did do this and basically took his penalty and was right back in the league a year later. I would offer one person to be cast. The man is Dwight Schrute from The Office. Yes, Rainn Wilson would be the perfect person to play the Greg Williams in this movie. I'm not sure who's cast yet, but hey, listen, if you can break a few legs for some Schrute bucks, that guy will get you to do it.
Plus, I think he's available. It's called ambush marketing. The streaker with Duffy's name tattooed on his chest hoping to get some free publicity or something like that. Well, Wayne Player has been banned from the Masters Golf Tournament for just such a stunt, in a manner of speaking. The son of legendary Gary Player chose the tournament's ceremonial first tee shot to overtly display a box of his chosen golf balls for fun and profit. Mostly profit. This was the very least in bad taste, even for a guy who once spent what he called 5 days of hell in a Georgia jail. Come on, don't you have to know better? You're the son of a Hall of Famer. Still, a lifetime ban seems a bit of a reach, even for the stuffed shirts who run golf's most snooty and self-righteous event. Invasive advertising is everywhere, and there's plenty worse going on out there. But when you look at how low the bar has been moved and reset over the past 4 years especially, you realize that maybe the Masters inadvertently stumbled onto something. Isn't it about time that we tried to raise the bar just a smidge, to say that enough is enough? Take a stand for decency and propriety? Well, sure, maybe it's a bit hypocritical, but maybe deciding that Wayne Player is no longer welcome in Augusta is a step, at least, in the right direction. That's our Unfinished Business, and that is our program. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
I love that, Bill. Make sure if you come into my house, take your shoes off at the door.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, let me know when I got to pay you for that tattoo across your chest.
Okay. Yeah, it was quite the adventure, I got to tell you. Hey, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Draft Show, the Rochester Press Box.